Hey, welcome to Sam Outside. I'm Sam and I'm outside, taking a walk. Yeah, I know some of you are looking at the terrain, you're looking at the environment and saying, well, aren't you out on a hike? So I'm going to spend a couple moments talking about what I believe is that difference. Yeah. So a little bit of that has to do with the duration, right? I'm not out for that long, right? Half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And it's also about the exertion, right? I'm at a leisurely pace, not really exerting myself. I can talk relatively normally. And it also has a little bit to do with my preparation. I'm not carrying water, right? I'm not going to dehydrate. Although, hey, I might get thirsty. And when it's, double digits Celsius out here with a high humidex, yeah, I feel it. But you can grab a liter of water when I get home. So what I am carrying is, my everyday carry, my EDC. And it's, I just don't leave the house without it. So yeah, I carry a small fixed blade on my hip. Usually have a multi-tool, got a lighter, well, this stuff, right? But I'm not really going with the resources one might need on a hike, right? The other bit is, here's where things get tricky, and this is why people get confused when they watch the videos. A walk generally doesn't have that much change in terrain, right? Relatively flat, relatively level, and that comes to the, the aspect of that exertion level. So for me, a hike in mixed terrain, I might at some point need 3 points of contact, right? I might have to stoop down or reach up or grab a tree or, a root or something like that, or put my hand on a rock if I'm really into some changes in terrain. So, even my kids, Dad, are you going on a dog walk or are you going on a hike? Because in this forest, I definitely can turn a walk into a hike, right? I might bring a little more depending on my time. Things like water, resources, first aid kit, right? So that's some of that preparation, maybe even a snack. But there's a lot of snacks in the forest. Yeah, I'm never that far without food. A lot of berries, a lot of things I can eat out here depending on the time of year, right? So yeah, I'm out for a walk. Now the hike, talked about earlier, just the resources, right? Might require a small pack for that water, those snacks, first aid kit, right? Maybe even another layer of clothing or something to put clothing I have on. If I get too warm, I can stow it away. But often I am differently prepared because of, again, the duration. So I'm going to be out on a hike in my last couple of hours, right? So that's the other difference there. And then there's the terrain, right? On a hike, I'm definitely going to get mixed terrain. Now, if it's an established hiking trail, there might be bridges and boardwalks. There might also be signage, trail markers, right? And might even need a map, some form of navigation, right? So that might be part of my kit. So depending on how long you're out, the amount of exertion, the amount of time, and the amount of resources that are prepared, tools, equipment you need, that might be the difference between your walk and your hike. That might be different than what you're actually watching me do. So I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I make this up, where I'm going, what I'm doing. I've definitely had some days where I've turned what I wanted to have as a walk into a hike, right? Just because of, being out here with my four-legged friend, Mr. Indiana Bones. He'll definitely take me, or sometimes I just find the time, right? Got nothing going on. Yeah, let's just stay out a little longer. And that's how my walks turn into hikes. And I've had moments where, yep, coulda, shoulda, woulda, needed some resources. Got a little thirsty, had some inclement weather, could have used a compass. I'm pretty good at navigating my way through the forest, using trees, using the sun, using the wind to tell me which direction I need to go. All right, so small differences there. And let's get back to that 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week. That might be something you can manage with your daily walks. So for that, it might be in your neighborhood, might be going to a local park for a walk. You're not really going to find challenging terrain on those shorter walks, but that builds a routine. It's also building some stamina, right? But when we get into the next recommendation for time outside, time in nature, right? The recommendation is 5 hours a month on top of your 20 minutes 3 times a week. So that 5 hours a month, now we're getting into some durations that might fit 1 or 2 or 3 hikes, right? So for that, you might be going to a local conservation area, might be going to a local provincial or state park, right? Might be going a little bit further away from where you live, right? And you'll probably pack some additional resources. And then when we get into that 3 days a year, we're talking about going camping. Yeah, definitely going to bring some more resources, right? So sometimes it's a hiking trip, but yeah, one does not simply pack, 80 liters worth of gear, food, resources to go on a hiking trip. You should probably train for something like that, right? So now you're getting into rucking. Yeah, rucking is where you might do a little bit of training, adding some weight. Some might call it useless weight, but it's weight, right? So it's practice. You're in training for that hiking trip, right? So you're going to go for a walk just to build your stamina, right? Developing those small stabilizer muscles in your ankles, right? Your knees and your hips, your back, work on your posture for when you are carrying that actual required weight for a pack. So rucking is definitely something that I do in preparation, right? So out of necessity, if I'm getting prepared for hunting season, yeah, I'll start carrying some weight just so I get used to spending time outside with that additional weight so I don't get exhausted when I'm out for those hikes, right? That 3-day canoe trip you might take once a year, recommended, might be a canoe trip. And I'm going to recommend you spend some time in a boat, right? Just going through your skills. Depending on what you're doing, you might have to portage now. And I've been portaging a canoe since I was 14 years old. And man, 35 years ago, those canoes were not light. All right, didn't have access to the Kevlar and the polymers they do today. I was carrying an aluminum boat, Grumman, or what's now known as Marathon. Whew, that was 80 pounds. Heaven forbid the foam inserts in the bow and stern weren't waterlogged, making it uneven, unbalanced, right? Spent some time in my early camping career as the head of canoe tripping at a summer camp. Did that for 7 years. Had to teach a lot of young people how to portage a canoe, right? So not a lot of time spent training for that. It was, well, you got to get from here to there. Boat's coming with us. We can drag it. That's why we had metal boats. Or I can teach you how to portage, and we'll take turns. So walking is part of that training. Walking, that everyday practice in nature, if you can, or at least have access to green spaces. So many health benefits. That's what the core of my videos are about. But going for those walks should be in preparation for the recommended time in nature for a hike, right? Think about those resources. Think about the skills such as navigation or first aid that may be required, all right? And then the more practice you have with those hikes can better prepare you for those 3-day recommended annual trips, whether it's a hiking trip, canoe trip, even car camping, going to a campsite. You do some exploring and have to exert yourself in different ways. So don't regret the physical exertion and the mental and emotional stress that comes with spending that much time outdoors. That's why it becomes a practice, a daily practice, a routine, if you will. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Hey, there might even be some financial training involved. Acquiring all those resources needed to go camping, right? So I'm out on a walk today. I go hiking quite often. It changes based on terrain, energy, and resources. So start with a good walk. Do many of them so that you can be more comfortable and successful and enjoy a good hike. And those added hikes will help inspire and prepare you for going out and spending a good weekend, a couple days out camping. All right. So it all starts by going outside. Yeah. Just walking around your property, walk around the block, go visit your local park, community center. Yeah. Enjoy the sounds of nature. That'll help inspire and give you motivation. All right. Stop, listen, smell, feel, get inspired, get curious. All right. All starts by going outside. So appreciate you. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.